Hey guys, welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Andre Sinkers, and this time we're joined by Josh Thomas and Roger Space to discuss everything we know and want to see from Super Mario Switch. So let's get started. Alright guys, so obviously Nintendo recently announced the Switch, and as part of that they showed off a few games, including tidbits of what might be, or almost certainly are, scenes from the next Mario game. Although I have some people argue it's just a tech demo, which I don't see how it could just be a tech demo.
Yeah, they're wrong.
So I thought it'd be fun just to get together and talk about what we think and what we hope for from this game. Especially because, I think, Josh, you had a similar stance to me on this. Because when I first saw that scene, I wasn't impressed. I'm like, okay, I mean, they only showed two scenes, 6 seconds, and I was going by a complete knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, okay, that looks like 3D World. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, 3D World is a fine game, but it's also not what I want from the next 3D Mario. Anyways, my point is, when I went back and did the analysis for it, I'm like, this actually looks pretty cool. There's a lot of little, interesting tidbits there that by themselves don't seem like much, but when taken together, makes me wonder if they're building towards something a little bit more open, a la 64, Sunshine, or, even to some degree Mario Galaxy. So specifically, I'm thinking of the heart power-up, the there being a town at all, and that beacon of light off in the distance. But yeah, so that's where I fall on this. What are your guys' thoughts on this so far? Just based on what little we've seen.
No, I mean, I think it looks great. I mean, it's exactly the Mario game that I wanted. It's a real 3D Mario, and I get crucified every time I say that, and I know it triggers a lot of 3D World and 3D Land
me
fans,
too.
But
People mock me for that, by the way.
Yeah, but you know what? We're right.
Mario.
Yeah, the comment I usually see in response to that argument is, well, 3D Land and 3D World have 3D in the names. How aren't they 3D games? And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but you're kind of missing the point that the person's trying to make.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, I mean, I was happy about that. I love, how the environments look a little more open. I'm really curious as to what the story for this game is going to be with those weird, ice and, universe-looking things in the background. You can see planets in the background of a little bit of the footage, and there's these weird, transparent ice sculpture things in the ruins area. So, yeah, I really want to know whether or not this is going to be a standalone, original title now within the series, or if it's going to be a sequel to Galaxy, or... I'm not really sure. All I know is I'm excited for a game that looks like a traditional Mario game that I've always wanted. So, yeah, and graphically it looks cool. So,
Yeah, I think, Andre, we're probably pretty much, like you said, on the same page. My first reaction to it was, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is that big 3D Mario adventure game that I want. It did seem like it could very easily have been kind of more 3D World style, and I think I probably didn't enjoy 3D World a little bit more than you. That's a horrible way of putting that sentence. I enjoyed 3D World a little bit less than you. There we go.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. But I really did end up liking it. But I've had enough of those games now, I feel like.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think 3D World was okay, but it's not something I would ever want another sequel to. I think this does look like it could be that big 3D Mario adventure game that a lot of us want. And oh my gosh, if it ends up being that, I'm gonna just absolutely adore this game.
It was pretty funny. I remember we were talking about the reveal announcement of the Switch and the games, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this new Mario or whatever you said. I'm probably making that sound way nicer than the way you worded it. I'm like, dude, go check out my analysis. Go watch it. Go check it out. And I think that helped maybe turn your opinion a little bit too, like it did me, or...
Yeah, I was actually kind of upset by the fact that Game Explained made me like a game. It was very insulting. How dare you?
There's still plenty of time in the game to disappoint you, so...
I'm just really shocked that you guys, upon first look at this game, thought it was like a 3D World, 3D Land type of game. Because I knew immediately, the second he was walking forward, I'm like, oh, okay, this is like an adventure-style Mario game. Had they shown it from that weird kind of 2.5D side-scrolling 3D perspective, I would have known, oh, okay, this is more like that. But, I mean, Andre, you do this for a living. You break down this stuff for a living. And Josh, you're meticulous about this kind of stuff. So it shocked me when both of you, upon first talking to you about this, were like, oh, yeah, at first I thought it was a 3D World game. I'm like, absolutely not.
See, I think one of the things that my brain instantly went to is that Mario, the person playing as Mario in this footage, doesn't seem to be, going off the beaten path. The person just in the Spanish town area, they're just literally walking forward. Mm-hmm. They didn't, and I know that it's stupid, but my brain just instantly thought, wait a minute, they're not walking around and exploring. Then when you watch the Game Explain analysis, you can see that, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you could go and look around at. So I think it was just the way the person was moving in the footage that kind of instantly my brain just was like, what is this?
Yeah, I think that was exactly it. It was just like a knee-jerk reaction based on what we saw. Because the character, literally Mario only moves forward in the footage. That's all he does. And that second clip, which is the thing you see last, so it kind of sticks with you, is, it looks like a linear level based on what very little we can see of it.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, my brain automatically went to the last game we saw being 3D World. But, when going back and looking at it, I'm like, well, we actually barely see anything in this level, so who knows how linear it actually is.
Good catch on the little dirt patch thing that like appears and then disappears in the bottom of the ground. I didn't notice that when I first watched it, and then I saw your analysis thing, and I was like, oh, whoa, I wonder if that's an enemy or if that's like a platform coming up from the ground. It was really cool.
There's like a lot of like tiny little details, which is why I don't get people who think this is a tech demo. It's like there's no way they added those little touches no one's gonna notice for a tech demo. There's no way. This is definitely what the next Mario is going to look like, at least at this point in its development. So, but yeah, there was like a lot of little stuff in there, including the fact that the two levels seem to be connected. Like that's not, they're not two separate scenes or two separate levels. They seem to be one larger level, which is what had me most excited. It's like, well, that's cool. So you start off in this little town area, and then you presumably go run off to that temple. And then there's the fact that there's a beacon of light, showing you, I guess, where to go, or maybe one of multiple places to go, who knows. I think the fact that that's even there, like, kind of hints at this being a more open experience, combined with everything else as well. Like, the fact that the triple jump is back is a pretty big thing, because that's going to open up a lot more for Mario to do. So I really am hoping this is just a return to, like, more, like, exploring, right? More exploration.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that Nintendo has some beacons of light in a lot of their games nowadays. Like, they're in Skyward Sword.
Exactly. Breath of the Wild, too.
Yep.
Yeah, you're totally right. So I wonder if they're switching up the game, like, maybe in a similar way?
Oh. It took me a while to groan at that.
The pun?
You just woke up, so to be fair.
It's true. This is true.
I wonder if they are broadening the gameplay again, similar to what they're doing with Zelda. It's funny because I was reading an interview recently with Miyamoto from actually like 20 years ago. It was, I think, only recently translated or recently rediscovered. And it was him talking about Mario 64 and how the reason they gave Mario a huge moveset to give you tons of options to, so there wasn't always a linear path to the level. There's many ways to do any single objective. And that's what I'm hoping that might mean here, like the fact that you can triple jump and maybe even have more moves at your disposal. I'm hoping that there might be multiple ways to go about these levels instead of, again, 3D Land and 3D World, where there's really only one way to do anything.
Yeah, so that was probably one of my bigger complaints with Super Mario 3D World, just the fact that it didn't really feel fun to control Mario, because he did seem very like they removed some of the moves that he could do, seemed kind of stiff in a way. And with a 3D Mario game, I think that's like one of the defining features, just how smooth and fun it is to control Mario and hop around and do all this stuff. So I'm really happy they brought the triple jump back, because it kind of suggests that this is going to be more like a Super Mario 64 type game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. It's like even Galaxy, just hopping around the planets or orbiting around the planets. It was just really fun to control Mario, and you never quite get that from the other games as you mentioned, or the 3D Land and 3D World. I just wondered to what extent they could be opening it up. Like does the level we saw, is that just a single level, or could there be even more beyond it? Like, is that part of a larger world, for instance? Like, is there way more like behind Mario that you can go, like a whole desert you can explore, or is it more like region focused?
I mean, I would love it if each of the levels, like the themed levels, were enormous, giant levels that had all these little mini areas within them. But I don't really necessarily think I want like a fully open world Mario game. Like, I don't want to like run from the jungle to the desert to the snow area. Like I would like some type of hub area similar to like maybe the castle in Mario 64, where you traverse between the different areas. Because I understand that Nintendo loves doing the world map stuff recently. I mean, they've even added it to the Paper Mario games now. But to me, I kind of miss like the hub little area. We had Spaceship Mario and Mario Galaxy 2, but the majority of that was like the world map. I miss the observatory. I miss the castle. I miss all those cool little hub worlds. The Isle Delfino area. Like, that's what I want to see return. I want to see maybe something like that return, and then they could open up into bigger levels that have more things going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I would love to, as you touched on, like see a return to multiple objectives. Like in Mario 64, we had 7 different stars, I think, you could grab per level, so just having different options at your disposal again. But at the very least, going off of what we can see, I do wonder if they're trying to make this a bit more of a... Like, I'm actually getting... Josh, this is gonna please you. Of all the Mario games, I'm probably getting the strongest vibes of Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
What the power lines, like, running across, which maybe you can bounce off, but especially with that village there. Because, Mario Sunshine had a bunch of levels where you basically explored tiny areas of Like there's like a hotel you could go through. There's all kinds of NPCs you can interact with. So that town's
Hubba
definitely
dubba, hubba.
wow, man, we got Pianta here with us. So yeah, I'm wondering if there might be bringing back like trying to make this a bit more of an adventure or story or narrative focus where there are maybe these problems you have to solve like within each area, like for these townsfolk maybe. For instance, like I'm wondering if that whole frozen ice thing you mentioned, Roger, is that just part of this region or is that like a worldwide thing in this game? You know, it could just be a specific problem for these guys you have to solve, and then maybe in the next area there's something else going on, or maybe it is just a larger gameplay mechanic. And I really have no idea what's going on with that stuff.
Right. I actually personally I would prefer it to just be in that area because I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't really know a lot about it, but it seems like it maybe isn't the type of thing that could stretch through the entire game. So it'd be kind of neat if each area did have its own little problem that you were helping to solve or do something with.
What I kind of took from that, though, when I looked at the footage the first time, it sort of seemed like maybe parts of the environment were, like, being ripped away. And then, like, I don't know, I got, like, a Galaxy type of vibe from that. It just seemed like some part of the environment was ripped away and it sort of left this, like, transparent hollow shell. And then it's up to Mario to sort of, like, fill in those parts of the environment again. Like, maybe it's because I was playing Color Splash again recently.
I was just going to say,
yeah. But it seems like that to me. When I looked at that for the first time, that's what those ice things look like. It looked like there was something there before, and then it's Mario's job to put something back there again.
So that's exactly what I thought as well. But then, if you think about it, everything that seems to would be missing then would just be a big pillar. Because there's nothing else that's like an ice sculpture type thing. It's all just pillars that seem to be in the way. So
Right.
I think that means that that's probably not the case. Which is good, because I don't want another Color Splash.
Yeah, I mean, that would actually even kind of be a little bit more like Sunshine, too, because, you know, Sunshine had, like, the goop and the sludge all over the place. And that was something that carried throughout the entire game. So, I mean, if this is something that carries through the whole game, where there are these, like, weird transparent things that Mario has to fix, I mean, it's still, that would go back to the Sunshine thing, where it seems like there's a lot of similarities between this game and that game.
Yeah.
Andre loves that. Oh, you're so excited about that, aren't you, Andre?
You know, man, it's my favorite Mario game of all time. Like,
Wait, is he being sarcastic or no?
I'm being sarcastic.
What? Hold on, because the reason I asked, because me and Josh both love Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
And that blows my mind that you don't like that game.
It's definitely my least favorite 3D Mario.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I liked elements of it. I liked bouncing on the power lines. That was fun, but I hated pretty much everything else. So, because that game felt to me, it was weird because it's obviously closest to Mario 64 in terms of like scope, scale, and like world, level design. But it also kind of like went back on what I thought Mario 64 did well, which is the fact that that game was open. You could go anywhere and do pretty much anything, assuming you unlock the level. Whereas Sunshine, even though the worlds were still open and that you can run anywhere you wanted to, you could only get one shine at a time, and you unlock the next shine after that. So that disappointed me, and plus I hated Flood. So, but if this is really basically Sunshine 2 minus Flood, that, I might be okay with that.
Well, you mentioned the power line, like the bouncing on the power line thing. Did you notice, I'm sure you probably did and I just forgot, the umbrella with the targeting thing on top of it near the beginning of the video? Right. So maybe that does mean that Mario can jump on different parts of the environments and get to the top of buildings and do flips off of stuff. Like, it'd be cool.
It looks like
Well,
it.
listen, you should watch the Game Explain analysis, because it turns out those aren't a targeting thing, and they could be pickups, things
right.
that you actually pick up.
Oh, really? I must have missed that then.
Yeah,
I was like
Roger.
listening to it. Well, no, but I watched it because I just mentioned the dirt thing coming out of the ground. I must have missed that part then.
Yeah, there's if you zoom in on like behind the rugs draped over the balcony, you can see purple power-ups or collectibles behind them that look just like those arrows. And there's another on the roof to the left as well. So I'm baffled by what they could be. So I mean, they reminded me of purple coins, for instance, from like Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
But what could they be used for? Because what kind of collectible is a purple arrow?
One of the things that really excited me that you pointed out is that on one of the buildings, like above the door, there's a sign for like a crazy cap store or something. And it seems so like specific. Maybe they're just being really good at how detailed they're making the design and stuff, like the visuals. Or maybe you can actually go in there and wearing different types of caps changes what Mario can do, like in terms of power-ups. So that, just thinking of that as a possibility gets me incredibly excited for where this game could go. Like as far as it being new and fresh and feeling like something different.
Maybe that's the switch. Maybe the switch in the title, if it ends up being called Super Mario Switch, is that he's constantly switching his hats and getting new power-ups.
It's funny you mention that, but I have a feeling, like, I really hope the Switch name indicates Nintendo, like, switching up all their franchises and, like, having some kind of Switch mechanic or something like that and changing how these games play.
That'd be
But
cool.
yeah, the hat thing would be really cool. And that kind of harkens back to Mario 64. We had, like, the wing cap and the metal cap and the invisible cap. So maybe you can unlock caps throughout this game, and then you can swap them at that store or something. You know, who knows? Maybe it's just aesthetic too. Could be like the Hawaiian shirt, Josh, from Mario Sunshine that you can wear.
You know, that bothers me because I love Mario wearing a Hawaiian shirt and glasses, but then it makes the whole game look real dim, which seems clever. But I'm like, oh, where'd the color go?
I forgot about that. That's right, they did do that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's crazy. There's been a few ideas I've heard in regards to getting back to the ice thing. One idea I heard, and it kind of ties into the Switch mechanic you mentioned, is that maybe the ice represents things from a different dimension, and then Mario has to, switch dimensions to see what those objects are. Now, I think it's a cool idea. I personally think it's just ice, especially because you can see like cold air surrounding it. But maybe the ice is representative. Maybe that's a form that stuff takes in this, in this dimension versus what it is in the other.
I mean, that would sound like something in a Galaxy game, for sure.
And speaking of potentially switching things up here, like quite a bit, one of our fans on Twitter, RagnarokX, tweeted at me a rather pretty out there theory. So a lot of people have already noted how the rings in the second scene, look like Sonic rings. And Ragnarok takes that a step further, noting how the tower of coins in the distance, I point out, there's a flower beneath that you might be able to bounce off of. He thinks that flower might be a Sonic spring instead. And to tie all this together, he noted that the gems on the wall in the Mexican scene, there's a couple of them, resemble Chaos Emeralds. So what he's getting at is he thinks this might be a crossover game where you switch from Mario and Sonic at certain points.
Get out of here! No way!
That would terrify me.
Wow.
Beyond belief.
Kobanemani456 would be the happiest person alive.
That's true, right?
Wow. Oh, man.
I think that's just fans going a little crazy.
How funny would it be, though, if there are, like,
Please
springs and
let
rings?
that be fans going crazy.
No, but how funny would it be if there are, like, springs and rings and stuff within this game, but then when you tap your Sonic amiibo, you can, like, add Sonic as a playable character in certain levels? That'd be crazy, man.
Oh man, that would be crazy.
Oh, man.
I don't see how Nintendo would benefit from that. Like, what would be the point?
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a risk than the potential gain. Is there much of a Sonic demographic that doesn't already cross over with Mario? I just feel like that
Right.
I mean, if there's any team that can make it work, it would be Tokyo EAD. At the same time, there's only so much it can do, right? I don't know if you can make Sonic and Mario work together cohesively.
Well, it's worth pointing out that rings have been in, like, almost every 3D Mario game, I think. So
Or the
that,
most recent ones, at least. Yeah, 3D Land and World.
yeah, and aren't Sonic's rings like little pickup items?
Yeah, they're not
like
giant
full
rings. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Although, those rings, like you said, don't seem like they're actually something Mario could get, whereas Sonic might be able to, like, dash right
That's
through
it.
them. Oh my god.
Oh no, it's happening!
Sonic speed!
Okay, now there's something else proposed potentially by the trailer. Of course, it very well could just be for the trailer. But we see the woman playing the game. Apparently her friends are having a rooftop party, so she takes her whole console over to play with them. And they're playing some game together. And of course, the question is, are they playing Mario? So my question is to you guys, is this something you would want to see from this game? Do you want to see more multiplayer elements in Mario, or do you want it to be more single-player focused?
So I think I want it to be like Pikmin. Pikmin has the single player stuff separate from the multiplayer stuff. All the multiplayer stuff like the challenge missions with the co-op and the bingo battle mode, that's like its totally original thing, completely originally developed specifically for multiplayer. That is what I have wanted for a long time. Pretty much ever since I played Pikmin 2, I wanted to see that in a Mario game. So if they could do that in this Mario game, that would be amazing. However, if it's really just kind of more of that new Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario 3D World type gameplay where it's just kind of like, oh, two people can play the one player thing, I don't really think that's too exciting because it's really not catered to multiplayer play. So yeah, that's kind of my feelings on it.
I am in complete agreement with Josh. I actually think it should be a separate standalone mode. I think there should be like a separate standalone multiplayer thing because we've done, playing through a whole game co-op before. We did that with New Super Mario Bros. On Wii, and the one for Wii U, and then the 3D World. It's like I'm good with that. Like I'm good. If I want to do that, I can go play those games. And while it'd be cool and unique to have that in like a true 3D Mario game and something like a Mario 64, Mario Sunshine style game where you have multiple people running around. I think I'd prefer mostly just to play it single player, and if they have a cool multiplayer mode, then I'll play it there. I mean, I wouldn't be down on it if they add it, if you have co-op throughout the whole game. It's just not something that I could see myself really doing, unless I was, like, at a specific location where I wanted to play with one of my friends, and then I would bring the actual system with me. But
yeah, I mean, I think the main problem is, are they even compatible? Can you really even make a true 3D Mario where you're controlling the camera and having multiple people running around at the same time while keeping everything in view?
Well, it would probably be an auto camera on the first player, I'm assuming, is how it would work.
And right, and that's why I don't want this to be a 3D Mario, because I do want to return to the old 3D Marios where you can, where you do have free camera control. And
Right.
it looks like that is the case. I'm hopefully based on what little we've seen. So I'm really hoping that means. I mean, this sounds like a weird way of putting it, like I'm way more negative on than I actually feel, but I hope that there's no multiplayer in the main game for that reason, even though I do like multiplayer games. But as you guys said, I would love if it's its own mode. Like Super Mario 64 on DS had that great, it had that great Shine Thief mode or whatever, right? Or that,
Yeah.
that was really fun. That was a really enjoyable mode. So something like that could be cool. Just keep it away from the main game and let me have a full world I can explore at my leisure.
I watched you playing that in a. You did like a little let's play of it when it came to the Wii U. Mario 64. You're terrible at that mode. I'm gonna come out and say that.
The controls are terrible.
No, I know. I agreed there. I just had to call you out on that.
That's true. You saw me jump off that cliff like 5 times, right? Like trying to get that one shine.
Maybe when she split the controller, though, the more I'm thinking about it, maybe when she split the controller and the two people were playing at once, maybe it was Mario and Sonic playing together.
Stop. That's nightmarish.
Well, and there always is a possibility. Maybe it could do split screen. Maybe two people can both free roam.
One thing I wanted to bring up, though, back to the amiibo stuff, though, real quick. That isn't like a trolley thing that goes along with what you're about to say. Is I'm curious if maybe like with the different types of amiibo, because they highlighted it during that little portion. We saw like the Mario and the Luigi and the Bowser and the Peach and stuff. I wonder if maybe if you tap an amiibo, you can like switch the second player's character, and that would be how you end up like choosing a second player. I don't know.
Kind of like in Breath of the Wild, right? Where you scan in a helper character.
And then you get like the little wolf Link. Yeah, it'd be something similar to that, but it would be like Luigi or Peach or Rosalina or something.
It could very well be.
Luigi's not a good helper. Come on. you scan Luigi and it just makes the game a million times harder because you have to like keep helping Luigi.
Oh man, that'd be pretty funny actually.
But the thing about doing like a split screen type deal for the multiplayer is that if this is like a 3D Mario game and it's all about collecting like a star by doing a mission, it's not. That would instantly kind of make it not cooperative because only one person's gonna be able to grab that star.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they could cater it to 2 people where you have 2 stars or something like that, but it seems like that would mostly be like a who can get the star first kind of a deal.
I mean, that's kind of like how the 3D Land and 3D World already are, isn't it? Like where there's only one flagpole, but everyone can hop on.
Yeah, I hate the flagpole. I'm so done with the flagpole.
Maybe the stars or whatever you get in this game, like everybody hops onto kind of like a warp star in Kirby 64, where like everybody would pile on it. You had like Kirby and then the little painter guy and Waddle Dee and King Dedede, and they all jumped on and then they got to the next level. Maybe it's going to be something like that, where it's going to be like a star, a power up, but then everyone has to grab onto it and then it takes you to the next location.
Get out of my head, Roger. That's exactly what I was thinking. This giant star you can ride around. All right, guys. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to bring up, or any final opinions on this game before we wrap it up here?
I want it.
I'm intrigued. I am super intrigued now. Like after taking a closer look, I really want to see more of this game.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed that kind of stood out to me is the animation on Mario is really well done. Like they actually have like this kind of bouncy look to him, like his hat and everything as he's doing the triple jump. So the Mario model definitely really impresses me. I think overall the visuals do look kind of Wii U, but I don't mean that as like a negative because I think there's a lot of Wii U games that look great. But yeah, one of the things that we didn't really talk about too much were the visuals. I think, the little Spanish town's very colorful and I like the characters. The animations on characters looks really, really good.
That's a really good point. Yeah, we didn't even touch on that. I love the new Mexican town theme. It's something we've never seen in a Mario game before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really original.
And I've heard one idea floated around is maybe these different levels are going to be based on like different, world cultures like that. Which would harken a little bit back to Super Mario Land, where all the world or all the regions were based on real world locations. But then the visuals, like the animation you mentioned, is really cool. Like it gives it a little bit more energy, a little bit more like spirit, right? Like it makes it feel like almost a little bit like it reminded me a bit of like a cartoon or a Mickey Mouse cartoon, even like with the characters bouncing around and whatnot.
And he sticks his hands out like an airplane, like every time he lands. That was cool.
Such a cute touch. Yeah.
I think I told you this on Facebook, Andre, but when we were talking about that, I was like, that was literally one of my favorite things in Super Mario Galaxy. That little intro where Mario's like excited to go see Princess Peach at the castle.
That's great.
And he's like running and he's holding his hands out, pretending like he's an airplane. And I was just like, I don't know why, but that little pose just makes me, it's so like whimsical and amazing. I'm so happy to see that Mario does that in this game.
Yeah.
I think that may have been why I was just slightly disappointed at first, because when you first see Mario Galaxy, it's like, this game looks amazing. Like, this is going to blow my mind. This game is more subtle, doesn't have the same effect, and to be fair, I don't even know if you can capture that same effect again. But once you, like I said, once you dig deeper, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here.
Probably worth noting, though, when we first saw Galaxy, we saw like maybe 30 to 40 seconds of it. With this, we saw 5 seconds of this.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's
true.
You could definitely, I could give you like 5 seconds of gameplay from Galaxy and you'd probably get the same feeling. You wouldn't know that it's really epic. So
well, I guess the question is, why would you choose that 5 seconds to showcase then?
You know what? I wish that everything they showed game-wise was just this Mario game.
That's just 3 minutes of Mario. That'd be pretty sweet,
Yeah.
actually. Although, I guess Nintendo does have this habit of the initial reveal being somewhat underwhelming, and then the next trailer is where they really ramp things up. We saw this with 3D World, and the first trailer looked pretty lame, and the second one looked actually pretty cool. And then we saw it again with, I think, I'm forgetting now, was it Mario Kart 8, I think, where the second trailer looked really impressive compared to the first? We've seen them a bunch of times
I don't know.
now.
I was instantly like wowed by Mario Kart 8. I thought that was
me
like
too.
CGI. Yeah, I don't know if that would... there's got to be more. I know what you're saying. There definitely are times where...
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, there's been a few games like that now. So I'm really hoping I'm sure once we see this in full, what it's all about, my hype's gonna be through the roof, I imagine. So
Yeah.
3D Marios are something that don't come out that often, especially as we've been calling it, the real 3D Mario.
Right. Last one was Galaxy 2. I mean, that would have been the last one.
Yeah.
2010?
And listen, I'm such a stickler that I don't even consider Galaxy 2 in that equation.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a
Wow.
whole different discussion. Man.
It was just an upgrade. It was just like a level pack. type deal, but-
just an upgrade of one of the best games ever
Of
made.
all time. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It was a downgrade in some ways because the
downgrade.
power ups were kind of lame.
The
and didn't
drill?
work that well.
You didn't like Yoshi?
So the drill worked well, and Yoshi was okay.
Yoshi
Yoshi
was
was
great.
fine. The stupid cloud thing and the ball.
The cloud thing was adorable, where you could make the platforms? Are you crazy?
But they didn't use it well in gameplay.
It didn't matter, it was cute. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
You're right, it was cute. It was great.
All right, there you have it. As you can see, we're in complete agreement on everything about this game. I've got one more question for you guys. Do you think this is going to be a launch title for the Switch, or do you think it might come later?
It has to be.
It's a launch
Do you
title.
think it has
Yeah.
to be?
Yes.
So, I'm going to disagree on this. I don't think
Whoa.
it will. Or okay, well let me amend that. I think either that will be a launch title or Breath of the Wild will be a launch title. I don't think there's a chance in hell both are launch titles. And if I had to choose between the two, I'm pretty sure Breath of the Wild is going to be coming first. Because we've seen more of it, we know it's got to be close to being done. I don't think they'll throw out 2 other biggest games out on day one, because then what do they have left in terms of like their heavy hitters?
Well, what else do you think is going to be their launch day with Zelda if it's not going to be Mario?
Any number of things. It could be any number of supporting games, like the Wii didn't launch with both a Zelda and Mario. They've never launched with a Zelda and Mario.
Right, which should be what they need, because I mean the Wii U was such a bomb, like it tanked so much when it first was released up to this point. Like they need something to sort of revitalize the brand. I think having a Mario and having a Zelda there, especially because Zelda's technically a port. I mean, it's a Wii U game, it's an NX version of a Wii U game. It's for both, but that's what it is. Like if people still have a Wii U and they don't really want to put down the money to get a Switch right away, some of them might, like I'm not like this and Josh isn't like this and I know you're certainly not like this, Andre, but some people wouldn't want to put that money down right away just to get a new system if they could play Zelda on the Wii U. So they have to have something that's new and they have to have something new and original there at launch day. If they don't, then I don't necessarily think this is going to succeed off the bat.
I mean, well, the way you say that implies like there's a lot of Wii U's out there.
No, I know, but I do think it's like I don't know. I think it would be wise of them to have at least one original game at launch, because based on what we've seen of both Mario Kart and Splatoon, those seem like enhanced ports. Those don't seem like full-on sequel games, correct me if I'm wrong. And then Skyrim, that's an enhanced port, and we're not even confirmed with Skyrim coming to Switch based on Bethesda's recent comments. They were just like, oh yeah, we worked together for the trailer, but we don't even know if it's going to be there at launch. So they have to have something original, and I think Mario is going to be that game. Because even Iwata, all those years ago, mentioned that like it was a mistake to not release like a real Mario game at the launch of their systems, which is why they wanted to do U, but then that wasn't even what I consider a real Mario game either. That was just like a level pack for New Super Mario Brothers. So, and I know I'm going to get crucified for that in the comments, but I mean, I feel like that. Like that wasn't an exciting Mario game, whereas this feels like a new, exciting experience.
So, Andre, I think you kind of convinced me. I do agree that those are going to be two of the biggest games to ever arrive on Switch, and having them both at day one does, I don't know, that seems like two really, really big games at once.
Yep.
I'm going to change my prediction, and I'm going to say you're right. You're right, Andre. I don't think that Super Mario Switch is going to be...
Wait, can you say that again, Josh? Those words?
Andre Seegers, you are right.
Oh my God. That's so good.
Not about Sunshine, but we'll talk about that again. I think it's going to be launch window. I think they're gonna do like a Galaxy kind of situation, like they did for the Wii, to where it comes out, maybe
November?
within like the holiday season.
See, I could totally see that. I mean, I think first year or within the first basically 6 months at that point makes sense. I don't expect launch. I do think Roger, they'll have some original stuff at launch.
There's other games we don't know. We saw 5 games, so I'm
true,
sure there's tons of stuff that we just don't know.
And real quick too, there is something else here that I just remembered, is that there was an interview from this year's E3 where Miyamoto commented on the next 3D Mario, and he said, this is just 4 months ago. He says, we're always challenging ourselves to create something new. So hopefully you'll see a new kind of Mario in about a year or two. Maybe next E3, being 2017, we'll be able to share something. So, unless he was just straight up lying, it really seems like we're not going to be getting this at launch.
I think we'll see it before E3, though. I think they will show it to us in, like, January or whenever they decide to show the big, So I think we'll see it, and then I think maybe a lot of details will be shared at E3, and they'll be like, yes, this is the Mario holiday title. Because, it's been a long time since Nintendo's had a strong holiday, and I think this Mario game, which is looking to be really good from what we've seen so far, that would be one of the key titles to have for that first holiday season.
Now you guys are convincing me! No!
We did it! We finally got Roger to think logically.
Andre and Josh are both right. I actually, the more you guys are talking, I actually think you're right. Now, with the Miyamoto comment is sort of what pushed me over the edge. You're probably right. I could see this being like a November Galaxy type game. I'm curious what they're going to launch with then, if that's the case. Like, Zelda... Zelda's going to for sure be at launch. People who say Zelda's not at launch, you guys are daft. Like, Zelda's for sure going to be at launch. You're crazy. They're not launching this
the only way it wouldn't be is if Mario somehow took its place. That's the only way I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. So, wow.
So, I just can't wait to see what other games they have at launch then, or what else is coming down the pipe for this thing.
Yeah. Maybe Retro's game. Who knows? We don't know what they're working on.
Who knows?
Did they confirm that the Pikmin game Mr. Miyamoto was speaking of in the past ended up being that 2D Pikmin game, or
they haven't? I don't think they said anything on it.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever confirmed that, but I didn't take that. Like, when I saw that 3DS, I was like, oh, cool, a Pikmin spinoff. Like, I didn't think of that as, that's Pikmin 4.
Yeah, same here.
Well, I hope you guys are right, because that would really hurt me personally if that ended up being the Pikmin game that I was getting excited about.
Yeah. There's no way, so I wouldn't worry about that, John.
Well, so Pikmin could be a launch title then. New Pikmin, and Pikmin would need it. That's a series that's so great, but of course it's always had the odds stacked against it, because it's like launching at the end of a system, or it's a launch title for a system that a lot of people didn't buy, like with the GameCube and stuff, and
Man, I feel like this should all be saved for a launch discussion, like that we should talk
really
about, like the pricing, the release date, all that stuff. Yeah, we should absolutely do that as a separate time.
I like your style, Roger. All right, Roger, do you want to tell people where they can find you at?
Sure, Roger's Base everywhere, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch. Yep.
All right, how about you, Josh?
They can find me on Instagram at JoshyPants86.
Oh God.
I'm going to advertise my Instagram instead of the YouTube.
You use it a lot, right? You've been posting a lot of stuff.
That's mostly where I spend my social media time, just Instagram.
Yeah, it shows because your channel's dying, so...
Well, no, it's dying because I refuse to make fake reactions to stupid Nintendo
Hey, I'm not
stuff.
fake reacting, my boy. That's my genuine excitement.
Sure.
No, I think it's because you hate Nintendo so much, right, Josh? You hate it so much.
10 years of my life has just been dedicated to eventually saying I wanted to hate them and destroy them.
Yeah, you didn't make a video showcasing how Skyward Sword's controls actually worked well or anything.
Exactly.
All right, and of course, you guys, if you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below, which is a good way to keep up to date on everything we post. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Super Mario Switch, hopefully sometime next year, and other things gaming as well. Catch you later. Bye.